Okay, so we're here today to talk a little bit more about what mind is. I mean, what spirit in general is in our school. The first thing you have to know is that as soon as we talk about that, we talk about something very tricky because there's two reactions that can happen when you will hear what I will say about it. The first reaction can be, oh yeah, that's exactly me. Oh, it's exactly the way I function, and you're overexcited about discovering that what you observe about yourself is kind of true. But there's the other part as well telling, oh no, not at all, I'm not like that. And this is the other reaction where we deny most of the time and rebel against something who's still inside us, even if we don't want to accept it. This will be the main thing you need to remember when we will be talking about the mind and the spirit. Usually, we all agree on the fact that mind is over present. Thoughts, commenting, judging, whatever we call it. That discussion inside, constant discussion inside is a real problem, and we all quasi agree on that. We say in our school that the best way to not have that happening too much, I mean less, or not having that bothering us too much or less, is to work on it, because it's pretty much the same as everything else we say in our tradition. Nothing comes by chance, or if it comes by chance, it's not what you look for, because it means that you can't reproduce it. So the only way to not have things happening by chance is to work on them. And mind is one of them. The problem with mind is it's so immaterial compared to the body or even the breath that it's really tricky and complicated. So that's the other thing as well. We can't do the mind work hoping for the mind being exactly what we want it to be, because it's impossible. It's like imagining life exactly the way we want it to be. It's impossible, because life will always present something different. And that's what we need to look at. But the way to be bothered less and less by that is to work on it. And to work on it is to understand how it works. If we understand better the mechanisms, we start relaxing. And this is very simple. It's because we are scared about something we don't know. If we know ourselves better, and especially the mind, which is harder because, again, you can understand your arm or the movement of your arm better because you just look at it and you can correct it. I mean, sometimes it's not that easy for people, but it's still easier than correcting something you don't see, you don't feel, and you most of the time don't really understand. So, why do I use mind sometimes and why do I use spirit another time? Because spirit is the global thing. But we recognize, even in Chinese medicine, that inside the spirit we've got different parts who are different components of the mind. Mainly, the whole thing is considered as pure yang in our tradition, but not only, in other traditions as well. It's just that the concept of yin and yang is mainly Chinese. And so the thoughts, who are the product of the spirit mind, are yang as well, of course. So it's what I was saying, it's the most immaterial thing we can deal with. The good thing about that, even if you might tell yourself, no, it's not true, remember that mind does that constantly, so try to not stop on that too many times and continue listening. I know it's not easy, but it's the best way. Because it's immaterial, because it's pure yang and so immaterial, it means that in the end, it doesn't really exist. As long as it's not manifested, it doesn't really exist, according to our perspective. The energetic perspective as well, yin-yang perspective. So this is already different than the breath or the body. breath already exists, because through the breath or you can have the emotions manifesting, and the emotions, as we know, are visceral. And of course the body is tangible, you can touch it, so it's manifested. So that's sort of a good news, because if thoughts are not really existing, it's easy to deal with, a lot more than we think. That's why in our tradition we've got human being between earth and heaven, because of that. We've got our instinct linked to earth, but we've got that most young part of our mind who's related and linked with something even bigger. That little divine connection. So that's very important, because it means that we are a lot more than we think we are. We say in our tradition that the working on the mind, because we work on it and we understand it better, we can realize that at the origin of our manifestation, there's fear. It's something we saw during the Sini Dao Infa, the work on the emotions. Most of what conducts us is fear. And the fear is specifically the fear of not existing anymore. So the source of our manifestation is the fear of not being anymore, not existing anymore. Did you see the problem we've got most of the time? So that's why we need to work on that, because the only way to have a good life is accepting to disappear. So accepting death.